All right. Well, I think we should probably get things kicked off. So, guys, thank you for joining us here today. We had a call last week, with Olivier on here, which went over a lot of brief stuff. We're not going to get into like his background and stuff today because we've already got that on the last call. And we did send that out to everybody that had RSVP'd to be on the call. What I'd like to do is go a little bit deeper now on it. And I know for myself, so welcome to the call, Olivier.
Thanks for having me.
Myself, after, finding out about BTQ and stuff like that, before that, I've read a few articles on quantum computing. Actually, the biggest thing that I saw was I saw a page that had 5 or 6 or 10 different ones on there, and they're cool looking, right? Things hanging from the ceiling, and they look like fine pieces of artwork, right? These quantum computing things that they're building and putting together. I don't know if all look like that. But since finding out about BTQ, I've been digging in a little bit. And if you guys get a chance, you can go out and look on Google and just kind of look at some of the, things that have been written, some of the scenarios that talk about the leap from when we go from where we're at right now with computing to quantum computing, right? And how a lot of the systems, a lot of the stuff that's been built and put together for a regular computing system will not hold up, which is amazing that you guys were able to think about this and see ahead of time and say, wait a minute, we can't wait until the event happens to build the security. It really needs to be built ahead of time because of the destruction that could be caused by this happening. Guys, I'm not an alarmist. I don't base my life on fear, but when you start going out and reading some of the systems and stuff like that, that will be broken. So Olivia, can we start with that of kind of once quantum computing kind of comes to light, right? And by the way, guys, and Olivia mentioned this last time, like 8 months ago, AI was mentioned here and there and a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like November of last year, it just shot onto the scenes, and now it's everywhere. It's being built into Facebook and here, and there's no place in the computer area where AI is not being developed and built in. That's probably the same thing that's going to happen with quantum computing, right? It's going to just like pop out of, it seems like it's coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it's here. So can you kind of go through that, Olivia?
Yeah, sure. So I think with any kind of exponential technologies trajectory, you have kind of a dormancy of where, there's a bunch of smart people working on it. And at some point in time, there is that large breakthrough. Right. So just today, IBM announced a huge milestone for the progress that they're making to achieve, what people call quantum supremacy. Right. The day we have quantum computers that exist and are able to pass the amount of calculations that are going to move faster than the standard computers that we operate on today. And I think, I've had 20, 30, 40 people reach out to me over the last few days, just because of, a world-renowned physicist, Michio Kaku. I might be mispronouncing his name, but he was on the Joe Rogan podcast over the weekend talking about quantum supremacy. So I think it only takes a few of these things to start snowballing, and you're going to have a quantum computing frenzy similar to the likes that you have in AI right now, right? So it only takes one research or academic breakthrough that seems to be happening more and more, where there will be this one day where we all wake up and it'll either be the US or the Chinese or the Russians that have announced quantum supremacy, or they potentially might not announce it, which is the scary thing.
Which is the
right?
scarier of the two. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, wait a minute, what are they looking at?
Yeah,
So for all of us that are on here, so I think, I use my phone every day. I'm using my computer. With quantum computing, can you kind of get into a little bit of what would change, right? What systems would be vulnerable in our lives once this happens, right? Not if it happens, once it happens, without BTQ without the security side of things, without
Sure.
thinking this ahead of time, what would be at risk, I guess, is the
Yeah, RSA encryption and elliptic curve cryptography, which underpins pretty much, a large portion of internet security, which goes from everything to, your iPhone, your computer, military devices, stock exchanges, energy infrastructure systems. So, we're speaking earlier with a company that's worried about its energy grid infrastructure because it's attached to their country's nuclear plants, and they're thinking about long-term threats or potentially near-term threats to address and rectify. And the important thing to realize is any large corporation or enterprise typically takes them anywhere from 7 to 10 years to upgrade their internal security systems, right? So that's why there's a lot of demand and discussions about the need to upgrade this now, regardless, just because of the amount of time it takes a large corporation, government agency to mobilize their technology stack, if you will, to be quantum resistant of these things going forward.
Now, Olivier, so when I'm thinking about this, and BTQ is software and as well hardware, right? So it's an actual chip, right? So an IC, integrated circuit, that will go on into the devices. Would this be the integrated circuits are going into the main computers and like software would work on my phone, or would there need to be a chip on every device? Just kind of getting an idea of
sure. So our chip product line, we have partnered with a Taiwanese research institute called ITRI. So they're famously known for incubating a company called TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor, one of the largest companies in the world. So we're fortunate to have some of the brightest minds in semiconductors that are extremely excited about working with us and our intellectual property portfolio. To we started off developing these quantum algorithms and miniaturizing them so they can fit on, and we call it QSIM because it stands for compute in memory, which has actually been used a lot on chips correlating to AI. So it's a faster way to process information at a lightweight. So if you're thinking about low energy consumption chip requirements that would say be able to go into IoT, 5G, 6G networks, your phones, drones, and this whole world of applications that won't be able to consume lots of energies in this wireless world. That's really where we're designing our core focus. So that is what we'll be rolling out, and we should have our first, as they call it in this industry, tape out of those chips in Q4.
Perfect. And guys, that's the Internet of Things. So like that's everything that's smart in our houses, right? Our Alexa devices. When you start talking about cell phones, there's what, 1 billion of them on the planet or more. So you're talking about the all of these devices needing this security. Is that correct, Olivier?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, our engineering office is in Taiwan for a specific reason, right? That's where all the iPhones are made. That's where a large number of all of the semiconductors come from in this day and age. So when you have these large semiconductor companies looking at where cryptography is transitioning, you need to they need to adapt. They need new intellectual property to develop these chipsets and roll out. And we're the only company focused on the island. They're specifically working on the quantum encryption side of things. So it gives
guys,
us.
I'm gonna rephrase that a little bit. You have the top center of the world for semiconductors, and they're the only company working on it in that area, right? I mean, that's just that's just amazing, right? In itself, if you start to think about the potential, because that's what we're here, right? We're here to talk about BTQ, possibly getting involved with it, owning some stock in it. And then so for myself, what I've been doing is trying to figure out how big will this be? How big can it get? And the fact that, I guess the next question, Olivier, is what's the competition look like? You're the only ones in Taiwan. Are there a lot of companies, only a few companies, or is there very few companies that are right now focusing on this category?
Yeah, so there's an emerging group of, I would say, companies, large cybersecurity companies looking at, how to beef up their quantum encryption offerings that we've, discussed with in terms of partnering downstream. So, being able to provide them with licensing of our software and hardware modules as they kind of get up to the curve. I would say when we looked at, strategically positioning ourselves globally, BTQ as a company, we don't want to go out there and spend millions and millions of dollars on our own sales and marketing division. We want to be partnered up at the hip with the largest companies that have the largest sales and marketing for semiconductors, which so happen to also be in Taiwan. So we want to be spending our capital extremely wisely on new intellectual property, building the best quantum encryption efficient chips and software to orchestrate these environments, and be partnered with the best companies who know this space the best in terms of distributing to a multitude of sectors, right? This goes from IoT, which has applications to automotive, defense, space, telecommunications, and everything in between, right? So we want to be able to license our chip technology to a significantly larger company that has distribution to thousands, tens of thousands of existing customers who are one day going to be either regulated by their governments to upgrade their security standards, right? So you're going to be buying a self-driving or an enabled self-driving car. That car is going to be required to be quantum, have a hardware security module within that car that is going to need to be quantum secure.
Perfect.
So that is kind of one use case. So we want to focus on what we do best, which is accruing the best PhDs and talent to continue to drive our intellectual property roadmap in the best way that we can do possible, and then hand off, because you see a lot of companies make the mistake of trying to do everything, and hiring a big sales team that has no experience. We know what we do best, and we know that there's significant companies out there that know how to do the sales and marketing and have tens of thousands of customers for those semiconductor applications. And it's only a matter of time before their customers, which have already come, so we've started to receive inbound requests from these large companies, which we'll be able to shed more light on as some of these partnerships go public. But we'll leave that to them for them to handle, and we'll focus on what we do best.
Perfect. Guys, we're going to open it up for some questions from the people that are on here, like 5 or 6, not 100. If you guys ask 100 questions, we'll kind of go through and field. And one of them, I do not believe, because a publicly traded company, could be like, what's the stock price going to be in 18 months? Okay, so let's leave that one off the table, right? So you'll have to make that determination on the size of the marketplace, right? And what it is. So, and some of the questions you guys ask, Olivier may not be able to answer. So if we don't ask your question, or if he says he can't answer it, that's just the way it is. So, but go ahead if you guys want it in the Q&A. Don't put them in the chat, please. But if you could put them in the Q&A, then we can, I'll ask a few more questions here, and then we'll get to maybe some questions from the, from you guys on that side. So let's see. So we talked about on the software side. So we talked about hardware side. Where do you see is on the software side the customer base and that type of things? Are these the type of customers that would be like an Amazon or those type of things where they would put them into their cloud computing? So like we spend a fortune every month with Amazon Web Services, right?
Yeah.
Paying for their type of stuff. So if we can get kind of an idea of the customer base on the software side.
Yeah, sure. So as we mentioned on our last call, just because of the nature of people being super advanced from a research perspective in the blockchain community. So we have a core segment of our clients as some of the top blockchains in the world. So they're specifically interested because they understand the threat, being in the cryptography space fundamentally. So Stellar, which is a top 20 blockchain, and some of the other ones that will soon to be partnered with large multi-billion-dollar blockchains are wanting to use this software and a mix of our hardware to power the future of their blockchains. And we're speaking with a number of large companies on the web that roll out web services like AWS, where their clients are requesting the security of their services to be quantum secure.
Perfect. All right, so guys, just everywhere, right? Everywhere on the chip, everywhere on the software side. So
yeah, and I think one important thing to mention is the software and the chips work together, right? So if you're AWS, say, and you want to provide quantum security and that security solution, because of the nature and large the data required to process these quantum encryption algorithms, you need what's called hardware acceleration, right? So you can't just run these algorithms on software. You need a hardware and a data center to back it up. So that's where it comes in, where we will be selling our chips to be able to process these quantum algorithms efficiently for these customers, right? If you're a bank and you want all of your customers' transactions to be secure, you're going to need to be using our software, but also our hardware to support those transactions to be efficiently run in real time.
Perfect. So we have one question so far. So guys, if you put it in, I don't know if you can answer this question, sure, Olivier, which is, when do you see this being introduced to the NASDAQ? So I don't know if you can, and if you can't answer the question, that's okay.
Yeah, so I can say, my previous company, my first company that I took public when I was 23, Hive, we initially launched on the Canadian Stock Exchange, and eventually uplisted to the NASDAQ. So that is within our game plan and strategy, along with BTQ, right? So it's kind of a stepping stone process in way that we want to move. I think with BTQ, it's a bit easier, given that we're not, we have applications associated with blockchain, but we're not producing digital assets. So with Hive, we had a lot of legal bills and significant SEC scrutiny, just because we were specifically designated as a cryptocurrency company and producer of cryptocurrencies. So I think us being a quantum computing company makes that process a lot easier.
And you guys were really early, right, in taking a crypto company public, right? A crypto focused company public.
Yeah,
right?
we were the first. So
first is really early. That's for sure.
It was a pain in the ass to get over the humps with the regulators, but we had that multiplier effects that we were able to benefit from. And I think that's similar to BTQ, where we're really one of the first early stage companies going public. A few of the other public companies have been around for a long time. went through these kind of SPAC related transactions that haven't bode well for investors. But I see ourselves as one of the only high growth early stage companies that is listed.
Right. Perfect. So Drew is asking, and I think I already know that, are the chips made in just one country or multiple countries?
So currently they're being produced in Taiwan specifically, but we do have plans to be creating them in other countries such as Japan, Korea, and some other jurisdictions around the world.
Right. Will some be made in the U.S. with the CHIPS Act and stuff like that? I know there's a lot of money pouring into
semiconductors. So we're definitely having strategic conversations around some of those initiatives, and obviously the biggest investors in the CHIPS Act were Taiwanese companies, right? You had TSMC investing, I think, $40 billion into an Arizona-based semiconductor manufacturing warehouse. So that's been an active part of discussions in terms of once we hit scale with these things, within specific I would say defense related applications and sector specific demands for US customers. If they want those chips to be manufactured in the US, that's something we can easily accommodate.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Let's see. Okay, and this you will be able to answer pretty easily. How is BTQ different than BTQQF on the Canadian exchange, and what is the advantage to participating in the pre-sale of the IPO for BTQ instead of just buying QQF?
Yeah, so BTQ is our Canadian listed symbol. We're traded on the CBOE Canada, which was acquired by the CBOE in Chicago, was previously the NEO exchange, and BTQQF is our OTCQX listing.
So the BTQQF, if you're in the US or in any outside there, is what you're going to purchase on, or if you're purchasing on the Canadian exchange, you're going to buy the symbol BTQ, essentially.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, excellent. Let's see. Where are the machines made that produce the chips? I don't know if we could even answer that, guys. I'm actually, one of my businesses, I buy excess inventory in the semiconductor area. So and sell machines, right? So these big giant machines that make the semiconductors, lay out the products and the dryers and all that stuff, and they're made all over the world, right? Germany has plants that are making semiconductor equipment, China, Taiwan, the US has it. So they're kind of made all over the world. And at this, so it would depend on what factory and what line it's running on. So there's a lot of factors there to be able to answer that question for sure. So, well, great. Any other last questions, guys? You have a chance to ask them. Please ask in the chat or in the Q&A right now. Olivia, anything that you'd like to kind of get across to the people that are on here? I mean, we already know now this has the potential to be gigantic, right? Every device that's connected to the internet would need it. Every, the software needs to go with the hardware. So the customer base is enormous, right? I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, you're talking about every country around the world, essentially, right, would need this technology. Every company will need the technology. And so anything that you'd like to add on to the potential of what's here and
I just think, to kind of highlight again the kind of what goes from kind of being a nascent market that you might have heard of to this exponential uncharted growth territory like we've seen in AI is, I think, definitely starting to happen with quantum computing. I would suggest people check out Joe Rogan's YouTube video on where he's interviewing Michio Kaku, the physicist, talking about what quantum, his kind of new book that he's released is called Quantum Supremacy, right? So how the world fundamentally will change with quantum computers, right? So, you know, AI is one thing, but, you know, quantum computers being equipped with AI is a whole different paradigm, right? And we're, you know, as you know, personal security, enterprise security, you know, the macro state of the world with all these wars going on, fundamental critical infrastructure of cybersecurity is going to be critical. So that is what we're focused on in BTQ, is making that accessible to all industries through a software and hardware offering.
Perfect. Jan, can you pull the link up for that Joe Rogan podcast and just drop it in there? We don't even need people to go look for it. We'll go find it real quick, guys, and we'll drop it right in the chat so you guys can grab it. All right, we got a few more questions.
Yeah, I think I saw one about a lockup. So there, you know, if you buy the stock, you know, the stock's already trading, there's no lockup to buy in the market.
Okay. Perfect. Let's see. What is the dead load as just post it to your revenues?
So yeah, we currently have no debt on the company's capitalization sheet. So we're debt free.
Oh, that's an important one. Great question. Thanks for asking that one for sure.
Yeah,
that's very good to know. Let's see. How much competition do you have, and are they as advanced as you are?
Yeah, so I think you know, we're really focused on this, you know, being the leading quantum cryptography company in Taiwan, and we don't see any competitive threat within our strategy of working with, you know, these large companies in Taiwan for the rollout of our intellectual property. You know, there's competitors globally that are working also on quantum security offerings, but we also, you know, see a kind of a lack of the ecosystem of both the marriage of software and hardware, which will be kind of a vital role to being able to accommodate for real-time encryption.
Well, excellent, excellent. Okay, and then Anonymous is asking, you know, how do they purchase? Jan, if you could give them your email, we can walk you through that. We've had our team members have purchased, so we can walk you through helping you with that on E-Trade or Ameritrade. So they'll do that. Jan will put his email in there, and if you have any questions on that, we can do that. And then yes, Ken, this has been recorded. We'll get the recording out to everybody. I want to thank you, Olivier, for joining us today. This really helped out a lot because giving people an understanding of how big this market can be and what the potential is. I mean, that's anytime you're investing, right? That's what you're looking at. What's the potential of what I'm investing in? Because that can do it. Jan has the link, I believe. Do you have the link, buddy, to the Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I just posted it in our chat.
Thank you so much, Olivier. I was trying to make sure I got the right one.
All right, perfect. All right.
I got the right one. But
Olivier, any last thing you'd like to say to everybody
yeah,
here?
no, I appreciate everyone's time, and hope to, you know, be able to answer any questions. If there's follow-ups, feel free to reach out, and, you know, hopefully at the very least people can learn a bit about quantum physics and how the world will, you know, be disrupted by this paradigm shift in technology that we want to play a major part of.
Well, myself, I'm excited to be involved with this early. It's definitely a solution that's going to needs to be solved and that needs to be done. So I love being involved in things that are going to make a huge difference in the world. And what you guys are doing is definitely extremely important.
Much appreciated.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.